Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We are early today because in about an hour at our regularly scheduled time, I'm moderating a workshop, the top 20 legal marketing tips for COVID-19 and beyond for the Inter-American Association of Intellectual Property. And it will feature another legal marketer. His name is Ross Fishman. He's the one who is the guru behind the program, and I'm going to be moderating. So that is why this week we are just a tad early here at 8 a.m. and why my lighting looks a little funny. The sun's coming in differently. But good morning to you all, and I'm hopeful that those of you who check in at 9 for our little 15-minute coffee break will still get to see the video and have a few minutes with me. Today we are talking about SEO and SEM, search engine optimization and search engine marketing. What the heck are those? So you hear these terms thrown around, people intermingle them, they use them interchangeably, but they do have distinct definitions. And well, actually, it depends on who you ask, right? Because SEO is often cited as including SEM, search engine optimization, including search engine marketing. And search engine marketing is often cited as including SEO. So there's a ton of confusion there. What's easier to remember is that SEO is organic and SEM is paid. There's a general consensus on those. So if you think of it that way, search engine optimization, organic, and search engine marketing, paid, you kind of have an understanding of the differences between them. So both of them have an aim to bring more traffic to your website. Hey, good morning, Leah. I'm so glad you woke up early. Thank you. Oh, wait, it's so much further ahead there. You were already awake. So, right, so search engine optimization and search engine marketing both are targeted with the idea of bringing more traffic to your website and getting people to become leads who then convert into clients for law firms. That's the goal. And with search engine optimization, as mentioned, it's organic. In my view, just coming out and saying this is the better scenario because the people who are finding you organically want to find you. And when you're doing search engine marketing, even though it's valuable and you have this paid investment, this is where your content is finding them. So with search engine optimization, where it's organic, people may be more ready to hire your services and in need of them and be searching for you. And with search engine marketing, it's paid and people might be interested in finding you. These are probably the right people because you've spent time targeting them or you've paid someone to spend time targeting the right audience for you, but they may not necessarily be at that critical moment of choosing to hire your services. Both still valuable though, because you want to increase traffic to your website because you want to increase your clients. And this is by and large where people are finding you. Now, when we're talking about SEO, we're talking about SEM, we're primarily talking about Google and ranking on Google, getting a higher ranking and being found. But they include other places as well that drive people to your website, such as social media, such as third-party information distribution. Of course, that kind of information is also found on Google. So when we're talking about the organic side of things with SEO, we're talking about your website, things that you can control or that you are doing, like the formatting of your website, your metadata, what is that? Those are the descriptions that you use in your headings and to describe your content and your web pages. We're talking about tags. Oh my goodness, what's a tag? It's a keyword. A tag is a keyword. You know, think of where hashtags come from. This is a keyword. So you want to include those so that people who are searching and using those tags can find you effectively, easily. And you want to make sure that your data is always fresh. Google likes fresh data. So if you're constantly updating, you have a much better chance of getting higher on the list. Now, last week we covered content development planning. And this is something that is critical when you have this formula for your thought leadership that's well thought out, that's targeted, that's been researched. You already have a plan in place that contributes to your search engine optimization. You don't really have to think too much about it. Maybe make sure that your web administrator is on top of things and knows exactly what they need to do for including things that you don't want to think about, figuring out backlinks and figuring out tags and figuring out the metadata. That should be something that your team is doing for you, or Firm Forward is doing for you. We can do that here. And then when you are seeing that your organic growth kind of is plateaued, or you want to maybe boost it, you should be thinking about a paid investment. And this is the way that people are going. And a lot of people say, well, there are so many advertisements out there, and maybe there are some ethical issues to consider, and maybe there are some other obstacles for you to be investing in this in a certain way. But I would encourage you to rethink that, because you still want to broaden your audience, you still want to broaden your followers, and whether those people are in that moment to hire your services or not, it is still valuable to have them coming through the door and knowing who you are, so that when they are ready, you're the ones they think of. So where does that leave you in terms of figuring out what that paid investment looks like? And what are we even talking about with this search engine marketing paid investment? Well, this is where we start talking about ad campaigns. And this can be ad campaigns on Google, can also be ad campaigns on social. And this is where you have to spend time targeting the audience. You have to spend time making sure the copy is the right thing for the audience that you're targeting. Take it from your content development plan, because this paid part is also included in that. And then really make sure that the distribution of those ad campaigns are effective. And the way you do that is through metrics. And luckily, nowadays, these metrics are available everywhere you're advertising. So hopefully, if you're advertising through social, and if you're advertising through Google and these types of channels, you'll get tons of analytics behind it to understand whether or not it's truly effective, these efforts that you're making to promote yourself through a paid campaign. There are a lot of companies out there that do SEO and SEM together. Firm Forward is one of them, where we can offer you a package separately, where we're focused more on content development through SEO, or an SEM package that is paid, or both together. And if you have questions about how that works, you can always reach out to us, and we can look at your specific situation. Now, being successful with SEO and SEM can be a huge challenge for anyone, because there's a lot of competition out there for your eyeball time, for the audience that you're trying to reach. And these keywords are used and competitive, and so these things can change how much it costs to advertise and how difficult it will be to rank. So what you want to do is understand where you are now. How are people finding you? Are you not being found at all? Are you being found so far down the list that you don't exist? Or are you just in need of a little boost because you're kind of in the space, but not so many people are actually finding you, and you want that a little bit of a boost? Well, you can go to these services like us, or there are these websites out there where you can find out where you rank. You can also research the keywords that you want to use to see how difficult it is for you to be a part of those keywords and utilize them to rank higher. Now, for law firms in particular, one of the things I've discovered in researching search engine optimization and search engine marketing is that it is highly focused on local markets, and corporate law firms are not always focused on the local market and being found. So what I see with Google, and what I see with all of these other providers that I've gone to look for search engine optimization services, they have focused so much on the local jurisdiction that if you're a law firm that is doing B2C work and your clients are consumers, so if you're doing personal injury or family and estate planning, those types of things, or employment law, SEO and SEM through the traditional route might be easier for you, because it's looking very locally, and you can target those audiences much easier than if you're B2C. So if you are a law firm that is offering legal services to corporate clients rather than to consumers, and if you're B2B and you're trying to use one of these local services, it may not be as effective because those are already structured to reach out to consumers and not to businesses. So when you're reaching out to business, you have to keep other things in mind. And the other side of that is that there's a huge opportunity there. So I'm going to use intellectual property as an example because this is my background, as you know. If I go into Google and I search for IP attorney in Turkey, I am probably not going to get IP law firms in Turkey as the results on my first page of Google. I'm instead going to get international firms that are advertising and taking up the Google AdWords in that space. And I may not want an international firm. Those international firms may not even have a presence in Turkey, but they have taken the market on IP attorney no matter what the keywords are. So they end up showing up. The other thing that shows up are directories, which you end up seeing when you're doing the local searches anyway. You see these local directories that give you lists of the different providers you're looking for. It happens when you search for doctors. It happens when you search for almost anything, really. You get some sort of guide or directories, like Yelp will come up instead of the actual search result you're looking for. But this means that internationally, if you're outside of the US and you're targeting the US market, there's often room for you to very easily climb because Google wants to provide those specific results to the searcher. They want the most relevant, useful results, but often the law firms just are not satisfying the minimum requirements to make it there. And instead, what happens is you see ranking publications occasionally. I see often like the Legal 500. You sometimes see other types of publications that are not ranking that are legal, but you also see directories, just, top law firms, top attorneys all over the world that are not specific. And what that means, what that is an indication of, is that there is this opportunity for you to come into that space, optimize your content for search engines, do some search engine marketing, and actually get there. So if you're B2B, if you have an intellectual property background and you're outside of the US targeting the US, there is generally room for you to be found using these strategies. And we would love to help you with them. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Basically, that's it. So if you have questions related to search engine optimization or search engine marketing, we would love to hear them. And we would be happy to respond to you or have a quick chat with you about your specific case. Now, this is not something that you can just say one solution fits all. I can't just throw up on my website some information about SEO and SEM and say, this is going to work for you, this is how much it's going to cost, and this is how effective it's going to be. We really do have to take your website and take your service and consider your jurisdiction and consider your target audience, and then figure out where you are today to come up with what your plan looks like, what you need to do. And we can tell you that for a certain level of investment, we think it will generally take 6 months or a year for you to see some sort of return on this. This is not something that you can expect an immediate return on. It's not going to be tomorrow you'll be ranked just because you have made this investment. It takes time. It takes that content development and thought leadership. It takes backlinks. Do you know what those are? What the heck are backlinks? Oh my goodness. Third parties having links that lead back to your website. And, these are great if you can get quoted somewhere or be included in some sort of other list of a blog that's famous, or, these are in social as well. And you can really grow traffic to your website. All these little things, all these things. But it is highly customized. It is something that takes some research, and it's something that we have fun doing and would love to help you with. So next week, we are going to be back on schedule, 9 a.m., hopefully continuing at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays, Houston time, Central time in the United States. We're on Central Standard Time right now. And hopefully you'll join us. We'll have a cup of coffee, and I have no idea what we're talking about next week. But if you ever want to talk about something, if you want us to cover something, let us know, and we'll include an extra topic in it just to have this time together and enjoy our 15 minutes of exploring these topics. And hopefully we're useful for you. And we're really glad that you joined us. So see you next time on Live with Liz. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.